In a historic moment for the United States, former President Donald Trump on Tuesday pleaded not guilty to 34 felony counts of falsifying business records, becoming the first sitting or former president to ever face criminal charges. He is accused of paying 2 women to suppress their accounts of sexual encounters with him. The 76-year-old and frontrunner for the 2024 Republican nomination showed little emotion as he waved to a crowd assembled outside a Manhattan courtroom, entered its hallways, and sat with hands folded at the defense table as he entered his plea. The indictment alleged that Trump and others violated election laws through a scheme to suppress the publication of negative information about him ahead of the 2016 U.S. election. The 2 women were adult film actress Stormy Daniels and former Playboy model Karen McDougal. Trump has denied having had sexual relationships with either woman. Prosecutors said some of the evidence against Trump was caught in an audio recording in September of 2016 as he and his attorney, Michael Cohen, allegedly discussed how to suppress stories about his affair. Court documents said Trump can be heard saying, "So what do we got to pay for this?" Cohen served more than a year in prison after pleading guilty to a federal campaign finance law violation for paying Daniels.
It is 34 business records, 34 false statements in business records that were concealing criminal conduct.
Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, a Democrat, spoke to reporters after Trump's arraignment.
Less than 2 weeks before the presidential election, Michael Cohen wired $130,000 to Stormy Daniels' lawyer. That payment was to hide damaging information from the voting public. The participant scheme was illegal.
Altogether, the charges carry a maximum sentence of 136 years in prison under New York law, but an actual prison sentence, if Trump were convicted, would almost certainly be far less than that. Hundreds of supporters and anti-Trump protesters, separated by barricades set up by police, rallied near the courthouse. Many shouted and held signs that read, "Lock him up," as well as "Trump or death."
I'm here to promote Trump's new name, felony.
President Trump, we love you. We support you. Thank you for everything you're doing for us.
Trump, who raised a fist in the air before leaving for his arraignment, has portrayed the case as politically motivated. From his motorcade, Trump posted on social media, "Wow, they're going to arrest me. Can't believe this is happening in America." Joe Tacopina, a lawyer for Trump, told reporters his team will fight the case.
It's a family, it's a team, and we have one mission, and we'll achieve that.
What's your next move?
Trump was fingerprinted, but no mugshot photo was taken, according to a Twitter post by a New York Times reporter. Legal experts say any trial is more than a year away.
Just hours after being charged in a New York court on Tuesday, former U.S. President Donald Trump lashed out at the prosecution and appeared to call himself a victim of election interference.
I never thought anything like this could happen in America. Never thought it could happen. The only crime that I have committed is to fearlessly defend our nation from those who seek to destroy it.
Trump was speaking after returning to his Mar-a-Lago resort in Florida, having pled not guilty in court to 34 felony counts of falsifying business records. He used that speech to hit out at New York District Attorney Alvin Bragg, a Democrat, saying he was out to get Trump, quote, "before he knew anything about me." The former president also took fresh shots at the other legal cases against him, from the handling of classified documents to the January 6 Capitol riot probe. And he accused Democrats, without evidence, of using the court cases to try and stop him from winning the 2024 presidential election.
We are a nation in decline. And now these radical left lunatics want to interfere with our elections by using law enforcement. We can't let that happen.
His remarks came after the judge ordered those involved in court during his arraignment to, quote, "please refrain from making statements that are likely to incite violence or civil unrest."
Now declare that Finland is the 31st member The North Atlantic Treaty.
Finland formally joined the NATO military alliance on Tuesday. The country's foreign minister completed the accession process at NATO headquarters in Brussels. The historic policy shift brought on by Russia's invasion of Ukraine quickly drew a threat from Moscow of, quote, countermeasures. Here's the Finnish defense minister, Antti Kaikkonen.
It is a big day for Finland, of course. And I'd say it's a win-win situation. It's good for NATO also. But our next goal is, of course, to get our good neighbor Sweden to the full membership.
NATO Secretary-General Jens Stoltenberg welcomed Finland to its ranks, noting that Russian President Vladimir Putin had cited opposing NATO expansion as one justification for his invasion.
This will make Finland safer and NATO stronger.
Finland's accession roughly doubles the length of the border that NATO shares with Russia and bolsters its eastern flank as the war in Ukraine grinds on with no resolution in sight. The invasion of Ukraine in February 2022 prompted Finns to seek security under NATO's Collective Defence Pact, which states that an attack on one member is an attack on all. On the streets of Helsinki, a cautious welcome for the news.
I feel it's a good thing that Finland is joining NATO.
In some ways, I think it will make Finland a safer place, but then again, we don't know what Russia will do, and it's all like a big question for me. I think so.
Russia said on Monday it would strengthen its military capacity in its western and northwestern regions in response to Finland joining NATO. Its defense minister, Sergei Shoigu, also said the move raised the prospect of the conflict in Ukraine escalating further. The Ukrainian government hailed Finland's move, calling it, quote, the right choice. NATO has repeatedly stressed that it is solely a defensive alliance and does not threaten Russia.
Actor Leonardo DiCaprio testified in U.S. federal court on Monday in the criminal trial of rapper Pras Michel, who is alleged to have taken part in a foreign influence campaign aimed at the U.S. government. Michel is a founding member of the 90s rap group The Fugees, who is also accused of taking bribe money to lobby Washington on behalf of a Malaysian financier and the Chinese government. Prosecutors said Michel funneled millions from Joe Low into Obama's 2012 re-election campaign and hid the source of the funds. Federal election law prohibits foreigners from donating to U.S. campaigns. DiCaprio is one of several prominent figures linked to Low, who is separately suspected of embezzling billions from a Malaysian state fund. Low, who was known to pay Hollywood A-listers to party with him, supported DiCaprio's charity and at one point allegedly gifted him a Picasso painting. DiCaprio has been cooperating with the U.S. government's investigation. Michel faces 11 criminal counts for what prosecutors said were 3 separate lobbying schemes by Low in Beijing to influence both the Obama and Trump administrations. DiCaprio told a Washington jury that Low told him about his plan to donate up to $30 million to Obama's 2012 campaign in what he described as, quote, a casual conversation about what party he was in support of. Michel and his co-conspirators are also accused of lobbying the Trump administration on behalf of Beijing to repatriate Chinese dissident Guo Wengui and to scale back its investigation of Low. Prosecutors said Michel was paid $70 million for his work in all. Michel's lawyers are expected to argue that Michel did not know he was acting as a foreign agent and believed he was furthering American interests.
Britain's data watchdog said on Tuesday it had fined TikTok around $16 million for breaching data protection law. Regulators accused the Chinese company of using personal data of children aged under 13 without parental consent. The Information Commissioner's Office, or ICO, estimated that TikTok allowed as many as 1.4 million UK children under 13 to use its platform in 2020, even though it sets 13 as the minimum age to create an account. The ICO said the data breaches occurred between May 2018 and July 2020. It also said the app did not do enough to check for underage users and remove them. The UK Information Commissioner said children's data may have been used to track and profile them, potentially presenting them with harmful or inappropriate content. A TikTok spokesperson said the company disagreed with the ICO's decision. but was pleased the fine had been reduced from the possible $34 million set out by the ICO last year. They said the company invests heavily to help keep under-13s off the platform, and their 40,000-strong safety team works hard to help keep the platform safe. The fine follows moves by Western governments, including Britain, to bar usage of TikTok on official devices over security concerns.